Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. You may have seen my recent video where I got this email from Shannon, subject line visitations, and she provided 5 different accounts of visitations from heavenly messengers. And so I started with the 5th one here that had to do with Wilford Woodruff. And after I made that video, by the way, I came across other accounts where he told the same story at different times. So if you go to my spreadsheet called Timeline, Visions, and Visitations, I have this like chronological spreadsheet where I'm keeping track of all these visitations and dreams and visions and so on and so forth. And so the one that we covered was here in 1865, Wilford Woodruff. So I have all the different accounts right here. You can access my spreadsheets in the description box below. You can come see this yourself. Just go to this cell right here under column K for account and double click, and then it'll pop out the whole thing. Or you can just copy it and then paste it onto a document or something like that. So we covered that. It wasn't only that, but also this in 1844. Because he talked about all the different times that Joseph Smith had appeared to him. So I have 2 different years that I have that listed under. But what we're going to do right now, the accounts that I have recorded range from 1820, and the most recent is 1983 at the dedication of the Mexico City Mexico Temple. Gordon B. Hinckley seeming to welcome Father Lehi to the dedication. So the one that we're going to be going over right now, and a lot of you already know this, but I'm going to fill this out the best that I can. We're going to the year 1829, June of that year. And this is, okay, so before you click out of this. This has details that I've never heard. This is the account of the 3 witnesses to the gold plates, as well as David Whitmer's mother, Mary Elsa Musselman Whitmer. She also viewed the plates, and it's all in this same account. And there are some really interesting details. If you haven't read the actual account, then you probably don't know about these details. Okay, so the place that I went to look for this, it's recorded a few different places. I don't know where the primary source is. I'll probably eventually find that. But we are looking at Latter-day Saint Biographical Encyclopedia, compiled by Andrew Jensen, and he was assistant church historian. This is volume 1. Okay. And I typically will read directly from the document, but in this case, I think it'd be better if we go to my spreadsheet. I copied it all over. I want to go to my spreadsheet because I have my highlights. And it's also kind of tedious to read it from here because there's like no paragraphs. Oops. There's no paragraphs. It's just pure 2 columns of pure text. You do have different entries. Like here you have Samuel Harrison Smith, but that's, as far as I can tell, those are like the only breaks on these pages. And the one that we're reading from is pretty long. So let's just read it from here. Okay, so what's going on here? I have a few other sources that you can look at, like this right here, to kind of like give you more background and additional information beyond what we're going to cover here. But essentially what was going on was Orson Pratt, which was one of the 12 apostles, and Joseph F. Smith, who later became president of the church, they were sent on like a special mission to like a fact-checking mission or something like that, to kind of get certain aspects of church history recorded. And so they had gone to David Whitmer, which was one of the 3 witnesses, and that's what's going on here. They're interviewing him. Okay, so here, let's do 200%. That'll be better. Okay. Elder Orson Pratt to David Whitmer. Do you remember what time you saw the plates? David Whitmer. It was in June 1829, the latter part of the month, And the 8 witnesses saw them, I think, the next day or the day after, 1 or 2 days after. Joseph showed them the plates himself, but the angel, referring to the angel Moroni, showed us, the 3 witnesses, the plates, as I suppose to fulfill the words of the book itself, right? Because there's that prophecy in the Book of Mormon about the 3 witnesses. Martin Harris was not with us at the time. At this time, he obtained a view of them afterwards, the same day. Joseph, Oliver, and myself were together when I saw them. We not only saw the plates of the Book of Mormon, but we also saw the brass plates, the plates of the Book of Ether, the plates containing the records of the wickedness and secret combinations of the people of the world down to the time of their being engraved, and many other plates. Okay, so if you didn't know that, according to this account, they saw many other plates in addition to the gold plates. But not only that. All right, continuing. The fact is, it was just as though Joseph, Oliver, and I were sitting just here on a log when we were overshadowed by a light. It was not like the light of the sun, nor like that of a fire, but more glorious and beautiful. It extended away around us. Sorry. It extended away around us. I cannot tell how far, but in the midst of this light, about as far off as he sits, pointing to John C. Whitmer, sitting a few feet from him, there appeared, as it were, a table with many records or plates upon it, besides the plates of the Book of Mormon. Also, the sword of Laban, the directors, i.e. the ball which Lehi had, or the Leahona, of course, and the interpreters. I saw them just as plain as I see this bed, striking the bed beside him with his hand. And I heard the voice of the Lord as distinctly as I ever heard anything in my life, declaring that the records of the plates of the Book of Mormon were translated by the gift and power of God. Okay, so I don't know, this is me talking, I don't know that I ever knew these particulars. In another video a long time ago, and I'm going to have to find it again, we had read an account of the gold plates being deposited back into the Hill Cumorah, that there's essentially like a type of like archive room in there where when everything was done, the gold plates were translated and everything, and it was time for everything to go back, that they actually went back into the Hill Cumorah because there's like a hidden room in there where you had all these different artifacts. So I knew that, but I don't think I ever heard this, that the 3 witnesses saw all these other plates, the sword of Laban and the Leahona. So that's really neat, but there's more. Okay, Orson Pratt. Did you see the angel at this time? Whitmer. Yes, he stood before us. Our testimony as recorded in the Book of Mormon is strictly and absolutely true, just as it is here written. Sorry, I need to delete this. When you copy and paste from archive.org, like I copied and pasted it from right here, it's almost like it does a visual recognition of the characters on the document, and then it sometimes gets erroneous like artifacts, or I don't know how you would describe it, but little, it doesn't pick everything up correctly. So, okay. Before I knew Joseph, I had heard about him and the plates from persons who declared they knew he had them and swore they would get them from him. When Oliver Cowdery went to Pennsylvania, he promised to write me what he should learn about these matters, which he did. He wrote me that Joseph had told him Oliver's secret thoughts. And I want to say that that's in Doctrine and Covenants, where the Lord's like, I know the thoughts of your mind. You've been thinking about this. You know which section I'm talking. If you don't mind, if someone wants to look that up and put it in the comments, that'd be great. So Joseph told him his secret thoughts and all he had meditated about going to see him, which no man on earth knew, as he supposed, but himself. And so he stopped to write for Joseph. I assume that means like to be his scribe. Soon after this, Joseph sent for me, Whitmer, to come to Harmony to get him and Oliver and bring them to my father's house. I did not know what to do. I was pressed with my work. I had some 20 acres to plow. Imagine doing that back then. So I concluded I would finish plowing and then go. I got up one morning to go to work as usual, and on going to the field, found between 5 and 7 acres on my ground had been plowed during the night. I didn't know who did it, but it was done just as I would have done it myself, and the plow was left standing in the furrow. This enabled me to start sooner. Now, this I think I've heard before. I'm sure there's probably some other account, but I want to say that I've heard this before, and that it was like one of the 3 Nephites, or maybe all 3 Nephites that did it. Feel free to put it in the comments or send me an email, and then we'll probably go over that account if you email it to me. All right, continuing. When I arrived at Harmony, Joseph and Oliver were coming toward me and met me some distance from the house. Oliver told me that Joseph had informed him when I started from home where I had stopped the first night, how I read the sign at the tavern, where I stopped the next night, etc., and that I would be there that day before dinner. And this was why they had come out to meet me, all of which was exactly as Joseph had told Oliver, at which I was greatly astonished. When I was returning to Fayette with Joseph and Oliver, all of us were riding in the wagon. And that should not be capitalized. Oliver and I on an old-fashioned wagon spring seat, and Joseph behind us. When traveling along in a clear open space, a very pleasant, nice-looking old man suddenly appeared by the side of our wagon and saluted us with "Good morning, it is very warm," at the same time wiping his face or forehead with his hand. We returned the salutation, and by a sign from Joseph, I invited him to ride if he was going our way. But he said very pleasantly, "No, I'm going to Camorra." This name was something new to me. I did not know what Camorra meant. We all gazed at him and at each other. And as I looked around inquiringly of Joseph, the old man instantly disappeared, so that I did not see him again. Now, spoiler alert, it turns out that this was Moroni, and I don't know why he appeared in this way. It seems different from the first vision, but we've already covered the fact that resurrected beings can appear like in disguise, or they can like change their appearance, whatever suits the situation. So I don't know. So he appeared as an old man. It seems like he was like wiping the sweat from his face, which I wouldn't think that a resurrected being sweats. So, but it's probably a part of the disguise. And whatever, they talk to him, but it continues. Look, okay, Joseph F. Smith. Did you notice his appearance? Whitmer. I should think I did. He was, I should think, about 5 feet 8 or 9 inches tall. That's just like me. I'm 5'8", and heavy set, and that's like me too. About such a man as James Van Cleve there, but heavier. His face was as large. He was dressed in a suit of brown woolen clothes. Okay, so he's wearing like a brown suit. His hair and beard were white, like Brother Pratt's. And by the way, here's Orson Pratt, if you didn't know. I've seen his picture like a million times because he's like one of the what I call the big 4. You have Orson Pratt, James E. Talmage, Joseph Fielding Smith, and Bruce R. McConkie. The 4 of which like have talked about all the different like more obscure doctrines of the church. Things like the 10 Lost Tribes and whatever. So Orson Pratt, here he is. Okay, back to this. Okay, so I also remember that he had on his back a sort of knapsack with something in shaped like a book. Probably something in it. I'll have to check that later. I'll color this so I remember to come back to that. Shaped like a book. It was the messenger who had the plates. So Moroni, who had taken them from Joseph just prior to our starting from Harmony. Soon after our arrival home, I saw something which led me to the belief that the plates were placed or concealed in my father's barn. I frankly asked Joseph if my supposition was right, and he told me it was. Sometime after this, my mother was going to milk the cows. Okay, so this is David Whitmer's mom. I don't know. I didn't look far enough to see how old he was at the time, but I guess he's living with his parents. Okay, so my mother was going to milk the cows when she was met out near the yard by the same old man, judging by her description of him, who said to her, "You have been very faithful and diligent in your labors, but you are tired because of the increase in your toil. It is proper, therefore, that you should receive a witness that your faith may be strengthened." Thereupon, he showed her the plates. My father and mother had a large family of their own. The addition to it, therefore, of Joseph, his wife, Emma, and Oliver very greatly increased the toil and anxiety of my mother. And although she had never complained, she had sometimes felt that her labor was too much, or at least she was perhaps beginning to feel so. This circumstance, however, completely removed all such feelings and nerved her up for her increased responsibilities. And that's it. There is more. This is a very interesting entry in this book. There is more. He talks about like Joseph Smith's like seer stones. I know there's like some kind of like weird controversy about, did he use the Urim and Thummim? I've heard some people call them the Nephite interpreters. There's like these little topics in church history that people get like really passionate about, and I respect that. I just sometimes feel like, although it is exciting and you might take a certain view, is it really worth like getting into arguments with people about it? So anyway, if you're curious, excuse me, you can find it here. He talks about Joseph Smith and reading from the stones and how he had to use a hat to cover the, to like make it so he could read the light coming from the stones, from the ambient light. Like if you're trying to like look at a screen on a phone, you have to like sometimes cover it with your hand. So whatever, that's probably going to get somebody to comment now, but it's all right here. So again, this is volume 1 of Latter-day Saint Biographical Encyclopedia. And we're looking at what we read from was pages 266 to 267. David Whitmer, he had been excommunicated, but he never went back on his testimony that he saw the gold plates. As you can see here, this is like after his excommunication. It actually goes over the reasons why he was excommunicated. There were several different reasons. But anyway, there's more stuff here if you want to look at it, but I'm not going to cover it in this video. But I'm glad that I have this one now on my spreadsheet as I try and get this all fleshed out. And just like everything else, it's just a project that's going to take a long time. I know of other things that I need to add here, but I just need to get to it when I can. All right, that's going to be for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.